People, DG, as you can see, deluded. Apologies for just shaking the screen there. I'm sure most of you love Koscielny like myself. Like, I love Koscielny. I think he's been a good, loyal servant to the club. What I admire about him myself is that when he signed for the club, we was all thinking, alright, cool, low profile. I don't really know who you're about. He didn't really... Obviously, we know Wenger's historically got these lesser known players or players with a low profile, and they've come to the club and they've developed. Koscielny, I'm not going to lie, I didn't see that, innit? It took a long while for me to forgive him from, obviously, 08 and things. Well, he was there in 08 with the Birmingham fiasco in the final. But he's come a long way since then. I mean, there was a... I'm sure other fans will admit, it probably ended in 2015, the latest, but there was a period. There wasn't one side in Europe my man couldn't get into. You could see that with the amount of sides that were linked with him. There was a time, even when Arsenal were getting battered in all these historical Champions League games, he was the one you could say, he left with some credibility. I like Koscielny, he's aggressive and these things there. I made a video before saying how I don't think he can contribute to our season, and I still believe that, in a sense that I honestly believe if, well, obviously it is what it is now, we have to play him, but I honestly believe in the summer, if you're looking at your options with what we had existing, excluding Socrates, who just came into the club, and betting on Koscielny, I don't think it's right. I think Koscielny's legs have left him. I think Koscielny's slowly declining. I think he can, for this season at least, he can play a part, and next season it should be more of a check sort of thing. It's more of a voice around stuff rather than part of it. And it hurts me to say that. I really like Koscielny, but I do think... it's not a criticism of Unai Emery at all. It's just when you look at John Terry. Now, John Terry, he was never the quickest, but he had great positioning, the right people, and he was okay in terms of recovery pace. He weren't blisteringly quick. He's probably one of the slowest centre-halves. His position is what made him stand out. Obviously, as John Terry developed, or not even developed, as just age catches up with everyone, I didn't say he lost his legs, but he lost his legs. Like Chelsea fans, I'm sure you have more examples than me. There was a time where Chelsea had to build the side around him, because for as good as he still was when he was declining and wasn't at his best, he couldn't play a high line, so he could be the John Terry, the all action, body on the line, and all of these sort of things, ball playing, which I feel is a very underrated aspect people think when talking about John Terry, especially with his weaker peg. But all of these things he was able to do because I think Jose Mourinho, whoever the coach was at the time, kind of built, I wouldn't say build the side around him, but built it in a way to mask the fact that he might get caught high up the field because he hasn't got legs. There was X amount of Zs, whether that would be fullbacks tucking in, midfielders dropping in, and I don't see that at Arsenal. And I say that because Koscielny, I feel sorry for Koscielny. You look at the goal we conceded against Manchester City, none of the defenders are doing the right thing. Mustafi and Lichtstein are too tight and they're doing whatever they're doing. Koscielny's in a difficult position because Koscielny, you can see the movement with Aguero, and I've seen this a couple of times with him. You have to follow your man. Now, Koscielny, he's in two minds, because if he follows his man, he's vacated this space. He also has to watch the ball and watch Sergio. Sergio is one of the best strikers just away from scoring, movement alone. You turn on a half turn, you lose him. You lose him in a split second. You've lost him. It's peak. So obviously within that example, I think if I put it on my Twitter, but if Monreal tucks in and certain other people tuck in, Koscielny can shuffle across and actually just use his full attention on chasing the ball or cutting out the ball. When I see things like that, forgive me if I'm wrong and it wasn't Brighton, but there was definitely a game where similar circumstances, nobody helped out Koscielny. He was caught between ball watching and whatnot. And then the ball went to the near post. I can't remember the game. I think the only bad thing Koscielny did is rather than try to head it, he tried to fly kick it sort of thing, and it didn't bang. There's that. You look at United as well. Kola going forward. It was great, Kola going forward. But look at Lukaku, how much Lukaku stressed out Koscielny, dragging him out into the flanks. Now, again, Koscielny, we know, is declining. He's my guy. While I don't think we should be looking at him to contribute, and he shouldn't be a starter in our team, and it signifies why we're at where we're at, not because of his performances. We know some people like Mustafi been messing up. I think he could be helped, and I'm not putting it at the feet of Unai Emery, but it's just like when you see what Chelsea did a couple of years ago, building the team around John Terry of sorts, maybe we need to do that if we're going to still use Koscielny, as Koscielny's declining. Now, I think Koscielny's finally realised to a degree he can't be as aggressive as he wants, because you see he struggles with it. Last season he struggled against Arnautovic, the physical threat. As much as I think he did okay against Sergio scored a hat-trick, so no one did. But there was one incident, Sergio was just standing still and Koscielny's trying to get physical with him and he can't do it. Mustafi the same as well. So he's probably got to be a bit more like Mertesacker to the Koscielny sort of thing in the new partnerships he's in. And when it's him and Socrates, Socrates has to be the aggressor. Koscielny has to be the more calculated one. Koscielny is all about positioning now because he hasn't got the legs to recover. We play a very high line. He hasn't got the pace to make a recovery challenge. Pulling out into the flanks, I've just explained that to you. So while I might not have all the answers, surely Unai's got to be thinking of it is that sometimes, and of course I hope you don't know I'm not blaming Koscielny and things like that. I love Koscielny. I just would like him to be helped out a bit. I just think sometimes if you look at our squad, maybe to hide and it's not having deficiencies isn't a bad thing as a player as you get older, or just in general. Maybe there's something we can do because we do play quite a high line and I don't want to see us stopping it. But maybe if that's making a midfielder drop a bit deeper, possibly narrow fullbacks, I'm not sure. Because even if you look at in hindsight, it sounds like suicide essentially in that you're looking at the United front three they played. Kolar, going forward, we need him, but the gaps were going to be left there. And Koscielny was going to get put. If the fullback's not there, the centre half has to be the one to go. So he was always going to get pulled out of position. Maybe in hindsight, that's suicide. Maybe it could be a case of playing three at the back. I'm not too sure. And just as a general comment, I won't lie. When I am having a hard time seeing the exact roles of players in our team, and this is completely different from this vid, and I don't want you lot to confuse what I'm saying. For instance, Lucas Torreira, we know his strengths are playing the ball forward, passing the ball, but more, I say that because people don't talk about Torreira's ability with that, like he showed at Sampdoria. Primarily, like in Uruguay, it is to break down play and things like that. That's the sort of skill set he is. But what is he doing what's his specific role in the Arsenal team? You don't necessarily see it, do you? Aubameyang, we know he's a striker. But do he play to his strengths? Do he play to what he's supposed to do? Do you see what I'm saying? Xhaka, even though I don't necessarily rate Xhaka that highly, you see what I'm saying? That this same debate could be said over several players. This is just my thoughts anyways, people. And yeah, man, I think if we're going to pursue with Koscielny, I think he needs to be helped out a bit, man. Maybe I think he needs to be helped out a bit. For instance, I'm not saying to play three at the back, but games in hindsight against United, maybe three at the back. If you would, again, Monreal might not have been available, so I'm just giving a random example. But Monreal, the left-hand side of the back three, that could have eradicated or helped eradicate the issue of Koscielny being dragged out wide. We can't escape the fact he will be pulled out of position as a centre half, but. Yeah, just as someone who's seen Koscielny, because do you know what? You see that, while I'm not criticising Koscielny or sounding like it would be a completely different conversation, it was Mustafi's, because Koscielny's doing the right things. You can just see when a man's body isn't, like, he can't sort of thing, like, he can't get there in time. He can't be a physical threat. And this isn't off the back of the game against City, because I don't want people to think I'm blaming Koscielny or it's Koscielny's fault. It's just several things I've been seeing this season. Again, back to the City game, he's stuck in a rock and a hard place because the team is not proactive. I'm not saying the team must hold his hand, but surely you've got to think about these sort of things. Again, the less said on Mustafi, the better. Mustafi's done that. It really has been a letdown in terms of a signing, really not improved, and it is what it is. But this is just some thoughts I had, and I thought I'd share them. So on that note, I'm going to get out of your hair. People, deluded, comment, subscribe, and do the rest if you wish. I'm out.